had been a peculiar stillness in the Flagstaff courthouse that morning. Not the heavy silence of typical legal proceedings, but something deeper, nearly as though the walls themselves were bracing themselves for a truth never to be spoken. Mary Brown occupied a position near the front, in a seat that didn't seem to belong in any particular category, not with Cody, not among the wives, and certainly not in the gallery. She sat where the court never expected anyone to sit. Her muscles were tense, fists clenched so tight that her knuckles shone white, but not from fear. It was the weight of years of being disregarded, dismissed, and always secondary to Robin. Years that had now come to a culmination. Christine sat directly behind, a binder clutched in her arms but unopened. Janelle stared forward, her expression unreadable. Robin, pale and tense, sat one row back from Cody, whose eyes never once turned toward Mary. The judge leaned forward, clearing his throat, not to begin, but to acknowledge what was coming. "Mrs. Brown," he said, "you've requested to speak outside of scheduled testimony." Mary didn't nod. She simply exhaled. "I have." Her voice was soft but adamant, and for an instant, all the reporters, all the camera operators, all the ex-wives, and the man she used to call husband, knew an irreparable moment was occurring. Then it happened. The words that altered the direction of the trial. "I lied," she said, "to protect him, to protect everything." There weren't gasps in the room. There was silence, the kind that constricts the air until breathing is impossible. The judge motioned for her to continue, and with a serenity she hadn't felt in years, Mary began to weave a story that would unravel everything else as well. "Cody made me sign documents in 2020 that I never read. Cody put my signature on a deed, making it appear as though the three wives of mine still owned Coyote Pass together. But afterwards I had already transferred over more than half of it to Robin in a private trust." On the other side of the courtroom, Cody winced. Christine dropped her eyes, and Robin, for the first time since trial started, ceased faking that she wasn't anxious. Mary pushed on. "I remained silent because I believed silence was loyalty. I believed it made me part of the family, but silence wasn't loyalty, it was survival, and I'm finished surviving. Today I'm telling the truth." Cameras clicked, pens scribbled paper. Cody finally turned, just enough to see Mary's eyes. For the first time, he was frightened. The judge sat back, letting the words settle. The courtroom grew so quiet it seemed impossible in a room full of so many. It was the quiet of illusions shattering. "Told me temporary," Mary continued, "that the forms would be fixed later, but they were never fixed because they were never meant to be. Robin was the owner all along." Christine's head lifted slowly, her face intent as the realization struck home. "You knew?" she whispered. The judge silenced her with a movement of his hand, but the damage was accomplished. Mary remained silent. She did not need to. Her silence for so many years had been sufficient reply. Finally, she said it flat out. It wasn't taxes, it was about control. The courtroom mood shifted in an instant. Sympathy turned to suspicion. Because Mary was not just accusing Cody, she was accusing herself. The judge slammed his pen, hard and deliberate. "You're saying the joint ownership of Coyote Pass was a farce." Mary stalled for a moment, then told him. "It was an act. Paper indicated that we were together. In reality, it was gone already." Robin's face fell. Hunching in closer to Cody, she mouthed something the microphones couldn't quite catch. But her voice, shaking and rough, betrayed her. "You said they'd never know." Mary spoke to her. "We always knew, Robin. We just didn't want to believe you'd let it happen." There was no anger in her tone, only heartbreak, the kind that comes from knowing you've defended someone way past the point of truth. Cody jumped up from his chair. "This is ridiculous. She's bitter. She's twisting history." The judge, though, cut him off with a raised hand. "Sit down, Mr. Brown. You will get your chance." His gaze went back to Mary. Do you have more? She nodded. Much more. I have my own binder. The courtroom fell silent. For the first time in all this drama, it wasn't Christine's binder that caused shivers throughout the room, it was Mary's. She drew it out from under her arm and slapped it on the table. Thick, leather-bound, not colour-coded, but stamped in one gold letter. Receipts. Gasps broke this time. Cody's lawyer half ran out of protest, but even he floundered when he saw this wasn't theatrics, this was evidence. Not to use it, Mary said softly. I collected it just so I could stay sane, so I'd remember I wasn't dreaming. The judge nodded gravely. Go on. Mary flipped to the first tab, 2019 Flagstaff Transfer Agreement, highlighted, annotated, notarized. This is the title transfer Cody made me sign off record. He told me it was for asset alignment so TLC would be pleased, but when I asked to see it and confirmed it, my name was scratched out, replaced by Robin's, through the Dalton Trust. The courtroom quivered. That name, Dalton, had come up too many times already, and now Mary's had been linked to it. Christine inched forward, her voice biting. Dalton! That's the name Logan let slip during the audit. You knew then? Mary shook her head. I didn't know what it was. I just knew my name disappeared the same week Robin's did. Janelle relaxed back, her expression shifting as she sorted out her own recollections. Robin stood rooted, mouth ajar, unsure if she should deny or protect. Mary turned the page. There's a letter from Robin that week. It says, thank you for being flexible. I vow this will come full circle to you. Cody had said the house had to be in one name for ease. The document was stamped and dated. The air grew thick. Do you have evidence the property was sold? The judge inquired. Yes, Mary answered, and not a penny of proceeds ended up with me. All went into Brown Legacy Ventures. Cody tried to stand up once more, but his lawyer restrained him. Too late. The truth was already on file. The clerk treated the binder delicately, as if it were fine glass. It was passed over to the forensic expert for analysis. The judge's tone was firm. Exhibit H. Mary Brown, records of property conveyances, trust activity, and Brown Legacy Ventures participation. The gavel never fell, but the power was the same. The case had shifted forever. Cody's face, once blazing with defiance, now had something else entirely on it. Not anger, not outrage, but fear. Real fear. Mary gripped the binder so tightly that it seemed it would vanish if she let her grip loosen. But the courtroom wasn't hungry for her silent fear. It was starved for truth. Do you understand what you're alleging against your former husband? The judge asked tentatively. Yes, Mary replied, but it is not an allegation, it is fact. Her eyes settled on Cody. He was always saying I wasn't holding up my end of the bargain, just sitting around. But I was his first wife. My name was the cornerstone, the foundation, on which he was able to build all of this. And now I'm telling the court what that foundation cost me. The air grew charged with tension. The judge leaned forward. You mentioned a sale of property. Do you know how much? Yes, it went for $545,000. I saw not a dime. Robin was made sole beneficiary under an Arizona trust. My name was crossed out 3 weeks before the sale and never replaced. Cody's attorney jumped up. Objection, speculation. We have the closing documents. Mary didn't flinch. Tab 4, yellow highlighted. The forensic expert was already there. He scanned through the papers, looked up, and uttered sternly, confirmed, beneficiary Robin Brown. No mention of Mary Brown on the previous deed. Christine whispered, devastated rather than angry. You helped him. We were going to lose everything, and you helped him cover it up. Mary's fists were clenched. I did it for him because I believed he loved me, because I believed being with him made me a part of it. But he didn't love me. He used my name to gain property, then replaced me when it was time to sign checks. The judge turned to Cody. Mr. Brown, do you deny these allegations? But Cody was silent. Exhibit H shouted louder than he did. For years, Robin had been the quiet one, never screamed at, never yelled, only just shaking her head at presented evidence. But when Mary came to tab 5, simply labelled Robin, something snapped inside of her. Mary's hands trembled, not with fear, but with rage at long last freed. This tab has loan papers I co-signed in 2020. Cody said it was to refinance our home in Las Vegas, but my credit was used for something else. The money was invested in the Robin Housing Trust for her new home in Flagstaff. Christine shook her head in wonder. The one with the library and the theatre room. Mary nodded. Yes, he told me we were broke while Robin was designing wraparound porches and custom cabinets. Robin finally exploded. That wasn't on your account. That was a family decision. You agreed. The judge cut her off sharply. Mrs. Brown, interrupt again and I'll hold you in contempt. But the harm had been done. Her outburst shattered the story she had so carefully maintained for 5 years. Mary pointed to a highlighted page. Redirect authorization. It shows $87,000 deposited from our refinancing check directly into Robin's trust. That's not my signature. The forensic expert confirmed. Signature mismatch, 91% probability of forgery. The G word hit like lightning. The judge turned, his voice now cold. Robin Brown, did you have anyone sign this form for you on Mary's behalf? Robin stuttered. Cody's name on her lips, then a stutter, then silence. Christine gasped. Janelle breathed. Oh my God. Mary snapped the binder shut. She always knew. Cody lurched to his feet, his cheeks burning. This is sick. I was keeping us on our feet, Mary shot back, her voice low but slicing to the core. I wasn't concerned with ownership. I was concerned with being treated like I counted. Instead, I was the one you forged as your signature to start a life with her. The courtroom shifted, not chaos, but light. Decades of silent questions reduced to a single damning fact. One trust, one forgery, one signature. For once in weeks, Robin was unable to speak. The judge looked over, scanning the proof. Mrs. Brown, to make clear, you're testifying this isn't your signature. Mary nodded firmly. Yes, Your Honour, I can offer 10 years of documents with my own genuine signature. The expert read, 91% probability of forgery. Stroke analysis and pressure readings confirm it. The single word echoed in all their heads, forgery. Robin paled. Cody clenched his jaw, struggling to come up with a defence that would not collapse under oath. The judge's tone was unyielding. This is not an error. This is willful misrepresentation, assuming another's legal identity, and that has penalties. Robin blinked forcibly, fighting to suppress a well-rehearsed sob. Cody's bluster was nowhere to be found. Christine folded her arms in victory. Janelle indulged in the slightest of grins. This was it, the moment of truth. Mrs. Brown, said the judge, are you claiming your co-signature was forged to divert marital assets into a trust about which you were unaware? Yes, Your Honour, replied Mary. I didn't know it until 6 months later, when a Reddit fan posted blueprints of Robin's mansion. That's how I found out where the money went. The courtroom gasped. Even the bailiff raised an eyebrow. Robin leaned forward, hissing softly. You said she knew. You told me she didn't care. Cody snapped then, not loudly but with venom. I had to secure the future. She was a liability. She never saw the bigger picture. Mary's reaction split the room in two. So I was expendable? You stole my identity just to protect your favourite? The judge requested a recess, but no one moved. The quiet was deafening, more powerful than anything that had been heard. One fake signature had done what years of war between them never had. It caused the court to have to face the truth. It wasn't a dirty divorce. It was a calculated scheme disguised as family. When the judge arrived in court, the gallery was packed, even courthouse staff mumbling of forged papers. Cody was devoid of swagger, panic seeping into every gesture. Robin was clutching her folder so hard that the contents inside were wrinkled. Mary returned to the stand, not to rest, but to continue. This time she had more. Robin straightened up, nearly choking on the words. "That's private," she growled. "Irrelevant." The judge raised a hand. Let her go on. Mary's tone stayed flat. "Robin has had an LLC since 2014, shortly after the finalization of her marriage. That company has accepted over $320,000 in suspicious wire payments from accounts dedicated to shared family expenses." She pushed a spreadsheet across the table, account numbers, routing details, line items, an accounting ledger that implicated all of the wives. Christine, Janelle, me. We all contributed, believing it was to common assets. Rather, it financed Robin's line of jewelry and nursery furniture enterprise. Brief interruption. Let that sink in. Christine's face grew red with anger and surprise. Janelle's head fell and she took a breath. She lied. The judge read the documents and questioned Mary about how she had obtained them. Mary drew a breath. "I did not get them myself. Christine subpoenaed the family's accountant as part of her investigation on the property, and what was hidden was uncovered." The judge leaned forward. "Are you implying marital money was diverted into a single-person LLC without full disclosure to both spouses?" Mary's reply was curt and deadly. "Yes." Hook, and the proof shouted louder than refutation. Robin exploded. "This is a smear. They're jealous." The judge, unperturbed, told her to save passion for testifying and to use documents, not outrage. Cody hid his face and muttered. The judge asked him to repeat it, but he wouldn't. Instead, the courtroom erupted in a new kind of evidence, audio. Christine had asked that a recording be played. Cody's voice, recorded at a 2021 family reunion, echoed in the room. "I don't care if Mary loses her half. It's Robin's time now. She's loyal." A collective gasp moved through the gallery. Christine's tears weren't tears of sorrow, but of vindication. Janelle took a breath that he'd always picked winners and discarded the rest. The voice wove a nasty picture of hush-hush gatherings and money funneled into upscale shopping. The same ring Cody had purchased for Robin the year Christine hadn't been able to pay for Isabel's procedure. Hook, and then there was video that no one could unsee. The clerk made another claim of evidence. A screen appeared. A clip was shown of Aurora, young and timid on her bedroom floor, speaking in a low voice. "I thought Mom was the victim. Now I know she was one of what destroyed this family." The video cut to a screen capture of Robin's individual banking app, account RB Family Holdings, balance $412,000. In the video, Aurora had asked Robin, "Why hide this from everyone?" Robin had answered, "They will turn on us." "Your father said it was okay. He said we deserved it." The document finished with Aurora whispering, "Don't let anyone see this. Christine will destroy it all if she finds out." The courtroom exploded. People shouted. The judge banged down his gavel to shut them up. Robin sobbed openly. Cody jumped up shouting, "She had no right. She's my daughter." The judge cut him down with a look. "Your daughter is a grown woman now," he said, and with that the hearing broke up. Hook. But the day's biggest surprise was only just beginning. When hearings resumed, Mary stood at the rail clutching a paper she had folded into her diary over almost a decade. Her lawyer leaned in toward her. "Are you prepared?" She nodded. "Let them see it." The bailiff smoothed the thin page and placed it into the record. The judge read from a 2013 letter from Robin to Mary, requesting that she burn documents and keep a secret. The note promised money security from Cody and cautioned Mary against telling the other wives, "She will hate me forever if she learns what I've learned." Silence descended like a curtain. This was not a note, it was an admission. Mary produced another creased page, a written letter from Aurora, scribbled in handwriting like that of a child. "I saw what you saw," it stated. "I'm sorry, you were right. They forced me to lie, but I can't continue anymore. Mum told you'd destroy the family if you spoke up, but I believe you're the only one who could save it. Janelle wiped away tears. Christine's expression became stern. Robin cried, her only excuse, I told her not to write that. The judge's ears pricked. He inquired if Robin had deliberately withheld these assertions from co-plaintiffs in a joint property and damages case. The spectre of perjury was hanging. Counsel consulted. The gallery hummed as reporters and fans alike felt the tension ratcheting up. This had escalated from an acrimonious civil battle into possible criminal ground. Hook. All that had remained under wraps was now spooling out in public. Outside, online communities started mobilizing. Inside, attorneys messaged TLC executives. Headlines started to flare. Cody was cornered for the first time. Mary, once disposable, was now the trial's strongest witness. The day ended with the courtroom split between stunned silence and wild whispers. But one thing was for sure. Secrets long buried had been exposed, and no spin could mask them again. If you'd like, I can now. Compile all 3 rewritten sections into a single final voiceover script that is record-ready with timing marks and hook lines. Put together a shorter YouTube trailer cut 30-45 seconds using the strongest hooks with an ending cliffhanger call to action. The courtroom hadn't even settled from Mary's revelations when Christine's lawyer rose with a calm but devastating statement. Your Honor, we've located the vault. Every head turned. Cody's face tightened. Robin froze mid-step. For weeks there had been whispers about a mysterious safe house, a place Cody and Robin mentioned only in hushed tones. Most dismissed it as rumor, but now the whispers had become fact. Hook, and what would come to light would shake the trial to its foundations. The judge told the bailiff to prepare for forensic analysis immediately. This wasn't a figure of speech. The vault was real, a concrete bunker disguised as a utility shed on the outskirts of Coyote Pass, known only to Cody, Robin, and Robin's son, Dayton. Christine described how it was found. Cody himself had drawn something in a folder named Family Insurance. The courtroom gasped. Even TLC producers scribbled in their notebooks wildly. Exhibit G showed the astonishing truth, an armored sanctuary with cameras, fingerprint safes, and thick insulation. And within, over $2.7 million worth of property that passed through it in just 3 years. Gold bars, jewelry, electronics, all purchased on Robin's LLC, none listed as family property. Janelle, her face stern, gave the judge a fierce glare. That was going to be our retirement, she said. Hook, but the paper trail led to an even darker story. The forensic accountant indicated slides of transactions that Robin had signed. Some merchandise was sold under the radar, some went into shadow markets. One line struck her. Aurora's College Fund, Emergency Holdings. Christine leaned in, her eyes burning. You told us Truly couldn't have surgery because we had no money, she accused Cody. And you invested college funds in a warehouse of goods? Cody banged his fist on the table. I did what I had to do to protect this family. The judge scowled at him. You mean to protect it from scandal? Robin wept, claiming she didn't know the scope. But Mary had proof to the contrary, a third letter written during a 2022 fight in which she documented in first person what she saw inside the vault. She recalled Robin paying her $25,000 to leave under the radar. When I set eyes on that bunker, Mary's letter said, I knew this had nothing to do with family. This was about control. You were selling loyalty for cash and burying it deep in the ground. The courtroom gasped in shock. The judge thundered that Cody and Robin had sworn to disclose all their common holdings. You lied, he shouted. A temporary freeze was imposed on all assets, accounts, and trusts connected with Coyote Pass. If it were proved that there was even more concealment going on, Robin was indicted on a charge of conspiracy, Cody on one of fraud. Hook. But outside, the storm was louder than the gavel inside. Supporters poured into the courthouse shouting, "Where's the vault, Robin?" Robin ducked her head, refusing to wave, refusing to talk. Silence was her only defense for the first time. When court resumed, tension crackled. Reporters packed the public gallery. TLC executives and even past producers occupied seats in the public gallery. But the biggest bombshell was at the plaintiff table. Christine and Mary sat together for the first time, lawyers flanking them, sealed files in hand. Robin appeared a few minutes later, puffy-eyed, with Cody in tow, his usual swagger absent. Asset splitting was no longer at issue, it was saving their reputations. Christine's attorney got started with a direct question. For how many years has Robin Brown intentionally concealed assets within trusts, contracts, and shell LLCs? Judge Tomlinson awarded leave to continue. Christine appeared before the court, serene but resolute. "I tried to leave quietly," she said. "I sought peace. But when I realized that Mary had been bullied out of her voice for 10 years, I knew Robin's deceit went deeper than I knew. She knew all about it, all the false signatures, all the offshore fantasies, all the shell companies." She said that Robin managed Hope Eternal Homes LLC personally, routing $1.3 million through it in 4 years and never reporting a single penny to the other wives. Then Mary stood up. Her voice now did not tremble. "I kept quiet because I felt I was the problem. Robin told me the family would not survive if I said something, so I walked away, heartbroken. But as I mourned, she took everything." And then the on-paper contract that brought the room to stunned silence, an ink-on paper agreement. Robin signed an agreement to be silent regarding the vault and other deals in exchange for $100,000 if Mary left the show with a smile. It was notarized, witnessed, and accompanied an email from Robin to TLC, instructing them to attribute Mary's exit as a spiritual journey rather than a monetary betrayal. Hook. It was no longer evidence, it was the coup de grace. The judge repeated, "Is that your signature, Ms. Brown?" Robin hesitated and then breathed, "Yes, but I didn't mean it like that." The silence that followed was heavier than any tantrum. Careers were over in that instant. The judge adjourned, but not before adding to the case the charges of coercion, fraudulent non-disclosure, and tampering with a contract against Robin and Cody. Robin and Cody could be prosecuted federally if convicted. And Cody growled into the mic, unaware that it was live. "You said this would never get out." Robin spun to him, trembling. "You made the mess. I only helped cover it up." Exiting the courtroom, crowds shouted, waving signs that read, "Justice for Mary." Christine and Mary walked together, neither smiling nor waving, merely together in the truth. Robin stepped back on a bench behind them, lawyers clustering around her like vultures. And when the judge returned, his tone announced it clearly. No more family trial. It was a televised unraveling of manipulation, deception, and secrets too big to stay hidden. The court had barely caught its breath when Judge Tomlinson delivered the following order. In light of Mary Brown's affidavit evidence and supporting documentation, this court will now unseal the contents of Unity Heritage Holdings' electronic safe. Shockwaves spread through the room. This was the safe Robin had once hinted at in her own confession, an internet storage device protected by a passcode that she and Cody both claimed to recall. Hook. And what it contained would change everything. An IRS agent working undercover stepped forward. He found that the safe held more than 2,000 financial documents, personal invoices, crypto transactions, notarized deeds, and wire receipts never seen in any of the court filings. The worst? A transfer of $2.8 million to a Wyoming shell company, Silver Wings Trust, a name that matched Robin's maiden name. The money trail didn't stop there. The money, it appeared, was coming from Sister Wives production profits, fan club revenues, and Coyote Pass development sales. Christine's attorney rose, her voice shaking with repressed anger. "Your Honor, this is multi-jurisdictional fraud, not secret savings, not neglect. This is laundering disguised in the guise of family agreements and media transactions." Cody shifted uncomfortably, sweat glistening beneath the unforgiving lights. Robin sat rigidly, her gaze swinging between the judge and the cameras now trained upon her. She raised her hand protectively, but Judge Tomlinson cut her off at once. "You will address this court only when permitted to do so. Presently, all Brown family holdings are frozen, including those maintained exclusively under Robin Sullivan Brown, Hook." But just when everyone thought the worst was known, there was still another bombshell. The clerk read out of a new report entitled Operation Reset. It was a signed contract between Cody and Robin that set out a strategy to sell Coyote Pass, siphon off the profit into a new LLC in the name of Robin's oldest child, and declare bankruptcy under the original business to erase debt. Cody sprang to his feet, his voice breaking. That was just a thought. It never occurred. But the evidence, stamped and attested, told otherwise. Even Robin's attorney leaned over into her, whispering that she would likely require criminal defense counsel soon enough. Witnesses in the gallery remained white-faced and traumatized. One executive whispered wildly into his phone, no doubt reporting the ongoing fiasco back to headquarters. In the plaintiff's bench, Mary sat stiff, her hands gripping tightly, her face impassive. Christine, however, permitted soft tears to run down her cheeks. They were not tears of anguish, they were tears of relief. For the first time in years, the truth no longer had to be concealed. The lie was finally being dismantled before the world. Judge Tomlinson's gavel crashed down. "This court will recess until there is forensic analysis, but let there be no doubt, this is no longer an issue of money. This is about trust, dishonesty, and the breakdown of moral and legal responsibility." As the hearing adjourned, Robin's eyes darted to Cody, to the spectators, to the telecameras. And for the first time, she looked utterly alone. Outside the courtroom, social media lit up in hashtags. Robin knew, Vault of Lies, Mary was right. What began as a quiet confession of guilt now rent the very foundation of the Brown family's credibility. Hook, and just when everyone thought the melodrama had hit a high note, another bombshell burst. From the press balcony, a seasoned investigative reporter flung a sealed envelope to the clerk. Inside it was a goldmine of stolen emails between Robin Brown and TLC executives, all written long before Mary ever surfaced. The court opened again immediately, and as the judge read the papers, Robin's face crumpled into panic. The emails revealed a secret contract titled The Brown Reset, a proposed spin-off designed to phase out Mary, Christine, and Janelle, while elevating Robin as the last legal wife at the center of the brand. In one message, a TLC executive wrote, "We're betting on anger. Viewers stay addicted when Robin is framed as the chosen one." The courtroom fell silent. Christine gritted her teeth. Janelle covered her face with her hands. Mary did not flinch. She had known. That is why she finally broke her silence. But the betrayal wasn't even from Cody or Robin. It was from the network. Papers showed Robin was secretly compensated $750,000 for creative ideas, including one where she edited upsetting scenes of the other wives from the show, in a way to keep everyone in sympathy with her. Worse, a leaked sample script for a so-called finale episode, Cody's Last Stand, made Robin the heroine of a family torn asunder by bitter ex-wives. Hook, this was not fraud. This was reality remastered. Judge Tomlinson brandished the script. This court can't police entertainment contracts, but defamation, fraud, and perjury, those are my domain. And what I'm looking at here teeters precariously close to all three. Robin's lawyer went white, begging for a gag order. The judge declined. TLC producers were also being subpoenaed now for their role in covering up Robin's secret payments and creating family feuds into television soap opera. Cody tried to protest, saying that editing was out of his hands. But after weeks of hypocrisy, his excuses rang hollow. Christine testified instead, her voice firm but breaking with despair. They used us to build a brand, then they used Robin to burn it down. Fans went wild online. The boycott TLC was trending in an hour, and then came the moment no one saw coming. The next morning, security doubled on the courthouse steps, the flash of cameras. The media grumbled in silence. And Mary Brown, no longer a TV personality, no longer a wife, but a woman who would not be erased, took the stand for the last time. She opened a dog-eared notebook. "I have one more thing to say, and it will be the last." Her voice did not tremble, but the room did. She read from a journal entry she had made years before, the day Cody told her that she was needed, not wanted. That more room would always be filled in his heart by Robin. The entry ended with 7 hauntingly prophetic words. "I felt myself disappear in that moment." Mary closed the novel. "I stayed behind because I had purchased the fiction. That loyalty would be rewarded with peace." But silence wasn't peace, it was erasure. And Robin knew, Cody knew, and so did the network that made money off of my pain as entertainment. And then she turned to Christine and Janelle in apology. "I should have stood with you sooner. I am so sorry." Christine sobbed. Janelle stood and walked to the witness box. She took Mary's hand and whispered, "We're finally free." The courtroom erupted into applause. Even the judge let Cody's interruptions fade into nothing. Robin sat frozen. The jury was watching. The world was watching. Hook. And what happened next would end an era of television. In the weeks that followed, Mary's words came to fruition most in the annals of reality courtroom history. The spin-off was axed, Robin's secret contracts were nullified, TLC was being investigated, and Cody, out of camera range and stratospheric legal fees, began selling his own possessions. Mary? She left tearless, finale-less, confessional-less. But one final line as she climbed into her car under flashing lights. "I was the first wife, and I'll be the last one standing."